Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session titled Reimagining Education at the Crossroads of Technology, Ethics, and Culture. We are welcoming you in our session. In this session, we will try to explore that how educational systems can be ethically reimagined by integrating emerging technologies in a culturally grounded, inclusive, and responsible manner. We have different experts from various fields ranging from law, psychology, education, media technology, who will share their visions and insights on how digital platforms and creative tools can be deployed to support equity, well-being, innovation in different kind of learning environments. Our first speaker will be Dr. Maria Khan. Dr. Maria Khan is a distinguished academician, policy expert, educational leader. She earned her PhD from Beijing Normal University, China, and previously contributed to the global initiative with different international organizations such as UNESCO. She was honored with Excellent International Student Award, and now she leads curriculum innovation teacher training at her university, University of Miyawali. Her research and editorial work focus on ethical educational reforms, educational technology, finances for educational technologies, and she has over 20 publications in reputable scientific journals. Our second speaker is Madam Maru Mumtaz. Maru Mumtaz is a practicing clinical psychologist and academic whose work focuses on student mental health, emotional resilience, and digital well-being. She leads the Department of Professional Psychology at the University of Rashid Latif Khan in Pakistan. She also leads the Student Counseling and Wellness Center, where she develops psychoeducational strategies tailored to the digital learning environments. Her advocacies highlights the psychological risk of EdTech and calls for a value-based approach to technology use in education. I am also speaking in this session as a speaker. I am a lawyer and I practice law in 4 different jurisdictions. I am also a pioneer of number of initiatives, including a law firm, IMO Lawyers, a consultancy, IMO Innovation Consultant, and a research center, Central Asia Tech Law. My work is mainly related to AI ethics and governance. I am looking into cross-cultural dimensions of artificial intelligence and their societal impact broadly. So I would like to call upon our first speaker, Dr. Maria Khan. You have the floor.
Thank you, Dr. Mar, for introducing me. And it's an honor and privilege to join such a distinguished gathering of educators, change makers, and thought leaders today as a part of the EdHeroes initiative. I am here to share insights on a topic that is both timely and transformative: the ethical and responsible use of artificial intelligence in education. I would like to say the EdHeroes platform gives us a powerful space not only to explore new solutions, but to reaffirm our role as custodians of ethical and inclusive learning. So I look forward to engaging with you all on how we can co-create a future where AI empowers educators and learners without compromising the values that define us. As we embrace innovation in education, so it's critical that we do so with conscious ensuring that equity, transparency, and human dignity remain at the very heart of all technological progress. So we are actually entering the age of fusion between the physical and digital worlds, but with this integration comes huge responsibility to ensure that ethics, equity, human connection remain central in this hybrid future. So in this presentation, the flow of my discussion would be covering some background regarding the computers to metaverse world we are entering in, and then AI use globally in higher education institutions. Then I would be discussing core values and challenges which we are facing, and then I would be coming towards the international policy landscape that how their implications are having on the higher education institutions during collaborations, and in the end, in the conclusion, there would be some recommendations regarding regarding the topic. So the primary objective of this presentation or is this talk is to explore how technologies actually, basically artificial intelligence is ethically and equitably reconceptualizing the education systems around us, ensuring inclusive and impactful responsible learning environments. When we talk about the very beginning, so in 1950, mathematician Alan Turing, in his landmark paper, Computing, Machinery, and Intelligence, in his landmark paper, Turing has actually posed a profound question: can machines think? And it not only founded the modern artificial intelligence, but also it established a benchmark from machine intelligence towards the more high-tech environment which we are now breathing in. So from 1950 up till now, we see that this vision is actually materializing. And this vision was not only just a vision, but it was also having a philosophy that he gave a thought food towards today's thinkers and policy makers, due to which we are now having the impact which is huge in our educational arena. As we move into the fusion of physical and digital realities, the metaverse market is projected to reach up to 13 trillion by the year 2023. So with US 54 billion already US dollars already being spent annually on the virtual goods as we look at it. So this reflects not just a technological evolution, but transformation in how we learn, interact, and construct meaning in both real and digital spaces. So when we look at the historical view to understand the ethical and transformative role of AI and the metaverse in education, we must first acknowledge the visionary minds who laid the foundation of computing itself. So as we witness this powerful merging, so it is important to pause and reflect, how did we get here? So to navigate the future responsibly, we must understand the path we have taken. And I have actually created all their works and their relevancy or alignment with the current time. That how their works actually align with the future in which we are right now. That when we see that Charles Babbage, who was the father of the computer, a visionary design thinking he established, and now it actually encourages us to design education systems for future. And Ada Lovelace, who was one of the first computer programmer, and she was a pioneer of ethical imagination, which connects us with the inclusive and ethical use of AI in education. So Alan Turing, who conceptualized algorithms, artificial intelligence, laid the foundation for machine intelligence, rather. So the relevance of the algorithms and transparency in education, we can take the guidelines that how the black box can be avoided in creating a transparency in education. So Grace Hopper, who developed early programming, especially COBOL, and she also coined the word debugging. So who promoted computing for real world problem solving. So mirrors, we can get the guidelines how these tech should support authentic educational outcomes. So Steve Wozniak, who was the co-founder of Apple, he engineered the Apple first and second generation. So he among the first mass market and personal computers that democratized the precursor to today's EdTech and virtual learning tools. So from his work, we can actually more democratized approach towards the educational arena, which can help us. So these pioneers didn't only actually just build machines, actually they imagined futures as well. So it's our responsibility to shape the next one ethically, especially as we step into the immersive AI-driven learning environments. So when we look at the current landscape, where the global AI in education market, which actually reached to $25.7 billion US dollars in 2023, which going to swell. So which signals just not the growth, but the transformation in how education systems operate. And if you look at the a compound annual growth rate, which is rising. And if we see that that bar in 2029, it's going to rise to 30.28 billion. So it means that this shift is being powered by emerging technologies and large language models, adaptive learning systems, predictive analytics, and automated assessments, some which each reshaping how we teach, learn, and assess in real time. So I have actually combined some of the view that how we are now looking at it and what is happening around us in the current state, in globally rather. I have created themes in which AI in assessment and personalization, learning analytics, student services, immersive learning, and secure assessment. These themes, under these themes, actually these some of the cases which I have mentioned here, case studies, these universities are currently not only using the AI tools and AI systems, but they are getting more I must say, advantages out of it. Like Open University United Kingdom, actually the most focused area is automated essay feedback, which actually helping students receive timely personalized responses. And AI personalization, actually the MOOC tutoring in US San Diego University, actually it's tailoring the content to individual learners' pace and performance. So these actually, all the examples show how AI is not only future concept, but it is already reshaping education in tangible, diverse, and impactful ways. So here are some of the challenges which are we are facing currently. So these actually challenges that box complexity and the lack of transparency, which is actually currently operate in different ways, and this is not easy for even those experts who understand the language of the artificial intelligence. So those are really expert in that field. So this is not even easy for them to understand it. So the nature of black box must be makes it, difficult to explain or justify AI-generated decisions in education. So another challenge which we are facing is low technical literacy among stakeholders, where educators, students, even administrators often lack the digital skills which are really needed to use critique AI tools effectively. So this creates dependency and increases the risk of misuse. So digital divide and equity gap is another big challenge which we are facing, and is access to AI enhanced learning is unequal. We all, I think, know about this, that many institutions and students in underdeveloped areas or the less resourced areas risk being left behind and deepening the educational inequalities. So there is another, the ethical and privacy concerns, which is, I think, currently is the huge concern for all the education, along with the other industries as well, that AI systems rely heavily on personal data. Without strong safeguards, students' privacy can be compromised, raising serious ethical and legal questions along with that. So another big challenge which we teachers, and whether they are higher education institution teachers or they are schools teachers, they are still facing the pedagogical misalignment. Especially in higher education, this misalignment is one of the issue which AI tools are deployed without aligning actually them with sound teaching practices, which can undermine the learning rather enhance it. So this is a big challenge for teachers. And another challenge which is associated with the previous challenge is that teacher preparedness and resistance, that which AI tools or which education technology or immersive technologies can be suitable for which kind of learning environments and what kind of topics which they are bringing to the students. And these teachers feel actually threatened or overwhelmed by AI, especially without proper training or inclusion in the decision-making processes. So resistance often stems from fear or replacement. So there is another, the policy and governance lag, which actually saturating all above mentioned challenges, because these regulations often lag behind technological innovation, and over dependence on global tech giants is also associated with it, that relying on foreign AI platforms raises concerns about data sovereignty, cultural reliance, relevance, and institutional autonomy. Now, I would say that these challenges actually call for reconceptualization of education, and that can be possible by using the human-centered approach, and which must be contextually rooted, ethically governed, and globally aware. This is very important for our institutions, higher education institutions specifically. And now coming towards the international policy landscape, that how this policy landscape is actually making implications for higher education institutions all around the world. So in response to the growing integration of AI in systems worldwide, UNESCO has taken a leading role in developing ethical and policy frameworks to guide member states, and their recommendations actually are rooted in the principles outlined in recommendation on the ethics of intelligence, artificial intelligence, and further elaborated in global roundtable discussions and reports. UNESCO actually emphasizes that the ethical deployment of AI in education must be human-centered. It must have the respect for the human rights, dignity, and fairness, and the promotion of the sustainability and the inclusiveness, which is really essential for to reduce not only existing inequalities, but also it stresses the importance of ensuring access for marginalized communities, because no one should be left behind. So addressing the digital divide and widening the logarithm bias. So here are some of the implications that how these recommendations can make some of the implications on the higher education institutions. So academic institutions are encouraged to embed these AI ethics in curriculum, research, and institutional policies, which encourages North and South collaboration, which are really needed in higher education, and capacity building as well, which supports the idea of inclusivity and emphasizing the access and representation from underrepresented, like South Asia and Africa specifically. So European Union actually Act 2023, which is the first act all over the world, which is risk-based regulatory framework. And this the EU Artificial Intelligence Act is actually based on the risk-based approach, which is categorizing AI systems into 4 risk levels, which is first risk level is unacceptable, and which risk actually ban, which especially for example, which social scoring by governments, and then the second category is the high risk, and then limited, and come towards the minimal risk. So this act actually is a comprehensive legal framework for AI. So it takes a risk-based and strictly regulating high risk AI systems, like those used in education for grading, admissions, and student surveillance. Even emphasizing it basically transparency and data protection, human oversight, and fundamental rights. The core focus of this EU Act is actually on ethics, rights, and fundamental rights and regulation. That the strong emphasis basically on the data governance and the human oversight, because this has implications on the different higher education institutions on their research as well. So because of which it's the EU approach is more actually applying towards avoiding the risk of actually getting into the more surveillance. So protection of the rights and the protection of the data is the more, I think, the approach of the EU, this AI Act. So the universities and research institutes actually working with the EU must comply with these risk frameworks. This is a must for the universities, and there is a collaborative research projects involving high-risk AI applications as well. We're encouraging the transparency and data protection for human and for human oversight and fundamental rights. And now coming towards the United States innovation-driven initiative, which they have taken in 2020, and they actually prioritize the research, innovation, and AI leadership. It focuses on federal funding for research and development, and also they actually building talent pipelines and more focus on innovation and voluntary ethical standards through agencies like NIST. So education is addressed through AI literacy training and curriculum development. So the goals of this act is establishing a national AI research resource. They are supporting more AI literacy and workforce development, and they enhance actually more the policy and public-private partnerships, which is very important for their actually growth. So they encourage the international collaboration in AI and research development. The implication of this act on the higher education arena they actually want to receive the more or saving more substantial funding and policy support for AI research. It is more research and development oriented act, so because of which they are creating more opportunities for international faculty exchange, joint research, more PhD programs with US institutions are increasing. So they actually more encouraging the STEM education reform and partnerships with countries to develop AI talent. So China is also not lagging behind to create some strategic state deployment. So overall, their strategic state investment, actually China is coming with the new generation AI development plan, which was from 2017 to 30. So it adopts a top-down state-led approach, which the government actually invests heavily in AI integration across all sectors, including full-scale implementation in education, from virtual classrooms and from research and development to talent cultivation as well. So integration of AI in healthcare, education, military, and agriculture actually is the main basic strategic pillars where they are actually focusing on almost all the fields and regarding the development of AI industrial clusters and innovation zones they are creating. So from virtual classroom to national learning analytics system they are creating, and their core focus is on national leadership infrastructure and centralized planning, which we can see in China's case. So there is a strong focus on AI-powered education platforms, which are adaptable and adapted to the learning technologies as well. And they actually raises the concerns over data privacy, surveillance, and ethics. I have actually created a comparative overview of all these acts, which are actually having the aspect and their approach, which is in European Union case is regulatory and rights based, whereas the United States approach is more innovative driven and research and development focused. Whereas if we see towards the China's approach, it's strategic state directed investment. So the ethical and governance when come towards this aspect, we see towards the EU, the more legally binding and risk-based framework, whereas the US is actually more voluntary and guidelines agency-led ethics. So the China is actually using more centralized control with national ethics and goals, because they are focusing more on leading in artificial intelligence or in high tech. They want to lead the regions or the world in this arena. So they are more focused on integration in pedagogically and planning as well. So the role of the state in their policies, we see that EU is more regulator and US is more facilitator, whereas China's role is more controlling and a more risk under tight political control. So here I must see from the lens of my local way that the Higher Education Commission Pakistan is also emphasizing and also working on some ground for the higher education institutions in Pakistan, and it has a strategic initiative for leading the country's higher education first of all, the Higher Education Institution Commission actually formed a committee to develop a policy framework for AI tools like ChatGPT in higher education, that how they can use it. So it is focusing more, including ethical use, academic integrity, and capacity building for faculty students, which by Dr. Ayaz Hussain from the Quaid-e-Azam University, and he led this initiative, and he supported the experts from academia and government. So this policy framework actually is currently serving in our higher education institutions. So now it's like the faculty development programs are introduced by the Higher Education Commissions, of which I was a part of it. And this actually program is basically Punjab Higher Education Commission also organized different kind of trainings, and along with that, they are awareing the faculty how in their general pedagogy and their methodologies in classrooms, in the four walls of the classroom, how they can actually merge with the new tools of AI, because it's time to a more inclusive education. Along with that, the programs actually more focusing on the aim to equip lecturers and teachers or assistant professors with skills to utilize AI tools effectively and ethically. So they also revised the computing curriculum 2023, which actually this update for the curricula was very important, because as long as when they are introducing the AI policy, ethical policy, and faculty development programs, so there is the need for the revised curricula as well. So they also revised it, and where they actually included AI-focused courses like artificial neural networks and deep learning, machine learning, and natural language processing and computer vision. I would be concluding it in the last slide to conclude it that developing an institutional AI ethics policy or establish guidelines for the higher education institutions is very important, and forming an AI ethics committee is another important recommendation for the policymakers, for the teachers, and the higher education thinkers, that it's very important that conducting faculty development programs, engaging in national, international collaborations is very important to utilize more advantages from the AI tools. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Our next speaker is Madam Maru Mumtaz. You have the floor.
So, thank you once again. And this is Maru here. Currently, I'm in charge of Department of Professional Psychology in Rashid Latif Khan University. Coming to my topic, it is about ethical and responsible integration of educational technology in student mental health support system. I'll start with some statistics that are taken from Center for Disease Control of US. And these are quite alarming for me, actually. That 12.5% of adults age 18 or older are with regular feelings of worry, nervousness, and anxiety. Around 5% adults with age 18 and older are with regular feelings of depression. And talking about the suicide mortality rate, so it is around 14.8 among 100,000 population. And 39.7% of students experience persistent feeling of sadness and hopelessness, 28.5% experience poor mental health, and 20.4% seriously considered attempting suicide, and unfortunately 9.5% had attempted suicide. So being a mental health professional, these are very alarming situation and statistics. So how AI is currently contributing in mental health support system is that there are so many mindfulness apps, there are online counseling apps and therapy sessions, and there are also AI chatbots as well that support in the crisis intervention. The benefits of educational technology is that it is accessible to all, around like 24/7. All the time we have access to these chatbots and digital CBT, remote online sessions. And it can also help in early detection as well, because since AI has this integrated system that it can detect based on what assessment tools we have incalculated in it. It can help us with personalizing our tailored interventions. And obviously, it can reduce stigma for students that prefer to remain anonymous. So since we have so many opportunities and so much benefits of AI, there are also few ethical considerations that are very crucial. And one of the very important consideration is bias and equity. That is algorithmic bias, and we are all aware that AI and even our social media work on the algorithmic bias. Actually, even if we saw one reel, we keep on viewing such reels again and again. And then there is accessibility issues that we live in a country and even in the environment where not everyone has equal access to all the resources. So students with disabilities or limited access face barriers. Then one of the very important consideration is the cultural responsiveness. The content must be inclusive and culturally sensitive, because if I am talking to a chatbot, I have downloaded an application or a chatbot that work on the algorithms or the software made in US, and I am sitting in Pakistan and using it. So I don't think so it will be culturally relevant to my problems, to my experiences. So that is quite the need of ours, that we should have cultural relevancy in our AI systems. Then a few more ethical considerations are transparency and consent, obviously. How our data is going to be used, how it is going to be collected, are we well informed about its usage, and are we well aware of the decision-making process? So these are some considerations. Now coming to concerns and consequences. Since AI has revolutionized the digital world, there are also few consequences and concerns, like with the growing dependence on AI for learning, communication, and entertainment. Students are exposed to digital environment that might lead to negative consequences for overall well-being. It also raises concern regarding digital fatigue, loneliness, techno stress, and reduced face-to-face interaction. Over-reliance on AI may diminish interpersonal skills and emotional intelligence, leading to social media isolation and anxiety. It was quite a slang term used a few years back, that was FOMO. But now it has DSM and APA is considering to include it as a disorder. That is a feeling of missing out. That arises because I have not just posted a picture on Instagram, so I am getting this feeling that I am left out from my society. Another consequent and concern is the boundary between educational tasks. Recreational activity is becoming increasingly porous, making it harder for students to manage their time effectively or engage in meaningful offline interactions. This continuous engagement with AI technologies may in turn affect students' ability to form social connections, relax without digital stimuli, or maintain a healthy balance between academic and personal life. So there are few strategies for responsible implementations. If we are considering AI to be included in mental health support systems, the very first one is data governance. We should develop comprehensive policies about how we are going to integrate AI in mental health support system and in educational technology as well. There must be regular audits and assessments must be conducted for assessing the risk evaluations. The training of staff, either they are well trained and educated on ethical considerations. And then professional partnerships, we should collaborate with the mental health experts, obviously, if we are going to integrate it. So how an educator or a psychologist can play its role, that is very obvious and very important, that psychologists must vet the EdTech tools before adoption, collaborate with tech developers to ensure ethics, train staff on usage and red flag protocols. I would just quote a brief example that in my university, we are planning to have a CMS system, class management system, and learning management system, where we will be integrating AI into it. If a student has shortage of attendance or very low on the assessment, we have also integrated some emotional questionnaires and assessment in it. So that system will give us red flags that this student is under risk. And all the faculty members and I, being the counselor, will have the access towards it. I can look which student is facing which kind of issue. So psychologists and educators can really play a big role in it. They can advocate for evidence-based and regular tools as well. The future of EdTech in mental health is obviously quite bright. We can have personalized AI. We can have adaptive interventions for unique needs. We can incorporate virtual reality and augmented reality experiences. And we can also have predictive analysis. So concluding my words on it, prioritizing ethics in EdTech is crucial. We must balance innovation with student well-being. Collaboration among educators, technologists, and mental health professionals is the key to ensure equitable access and support for all the students. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maru Mumtaz. It was an incredible presentation. Now I'll be presenting on my topic, which is cross-cultural AI ethics in education towards a philosophy of inclusive digital learning. As we all know that we are standing in the time in the history where we have achieved artificial narrow intelligence. Artificial narrow intelligence means we have computers or machines which can perform the individual human work at a much better speed, at a much better quality. And the next benchmark we are expecting is artificial general intelligence. We will make a machine which will be performing all the human work at a much better speed, at a much better quality. And then there are other benchmarks set by the scientists such as human 2 or artificial superintelligence, space colonization, and so on. Philosophically speaking, what is happening, there are two things which we need to consider. First is that there is humanization of machine is happening, means we are making machines which are close to the humans. On the other side, there is mechanization of humans is happening, like humans are depending more and more on technology. And education is playing a key role into this. So that's why we wanted to discuss a little bit about cross-cultural AI ethics, that why culture is very important when we talk about ethics of artificial intelligence. Most AI ethics today are framed through Western norms because they develop the technology and then they deploy the technology. But culture is not a barrier, it is a resource. Most of the time, culture is not integrated or not thought upon when they manufacture the technology. Cross-cultural ethics treats culture as generative, where values co-emerge in interaction, not in isolation. So value emerge between the cultures. We don't take individual values from separate cultures. In order to understand this, we can say that the typical perspective is, if we want to accommodate the culture, is to have a lens through which we see the culture, an issue, and then we will have different worldviews about an issue. But on the other side, if we have a pluralistic perspective, we can look through the prism of different ethical theories coming from different cultures, and then we can have a pluralistic approach towards an ethical dilemma. Education is the front line of artificial intelligence. It is the main engine through which we produce the output for our society. Many things are problematic when it comes to the integration of artificial intelligence in ethics. Not only about the content, for example, cartoons which are not culturally sensitive or not scrutinized to meet the demands of individual cultures. Education isn't just content delivery, it is value transmission. AI in education is shaping how students learn, think, and see the world, that make EdTech a front line for ethical, cultural, and psychological impact. And culture is a curriculum, it is not a context. Culture, as we know, is not static, it is dynamic. It isn't something EdTech can treat as an optional. It shapes how students interpret fairness, authority, success, different other values. When we ignore the culture, AI imposes monocultures. We need artificial intelligence that respects oral traditions, religious logics, indigenous knowledge which comes from different cultural backgrounds. What is the problem? The problem is that when we manufacture the education technologies, we ignore the culture. It is very simple. But on grassroots level, it is very complex. For example, if you want to teach biology in Pakistan and you ignore the culture which is deeply rooted in religious and traditional values, then you cannot teach the biology which will become the subconscious part of the Pakistani students. So that's why we need to think about the culture. When education technologies ignore the culture, AI tutor misread the students, reinforce colonial biases, and misalign with local norms. That is a problem. The result is disengagement, ethical conflict, and it erasures the alternates worldview, and the individuals feel that they are being colonized somehow. So if we think about artificial intelligence, most of the time we only think about artificial intelligence as a creature which act in the physical world. But different cultures have different worldview. For example, they have a concept about pre-existence and afterlife. And also they have different epistemological sources through which they investigate the science. For example, in physical world, we talk about reason, logic, scientific method, pragmatism, and consciousness. But many cultures, they take their sources of knowledge such as testimony and authority, memory, intuition, imagination, and revelation. So if we want a culturally grounded artificial intelligence, we should consider beyond this physical world into spiritual world and cultural cosmology. What are some of the challenges which we face? We face, first of all, the lack of localized AI training data. Simply by web crawling or from Wikipedia, we get the data through which we train our models, but the real cultural knowledge is never touched, which is a problem and a big challenge. So our proposal is to think about cultural cogenesis of ethics in educational technologies. What does it mean? It means that we should think about not taking individual values from individual cultures, but to think about a web. Different cultures should interact, and by this interaction, they should make a new set of values, and that set of values should be considered when we manufacture technology or think about what sort of morality should be installed into the educational technologies. For example, here we can see different regions, they had educational systems, and if we compare these educational systems from their ancient times, most of the time they were teaching the same subjects, and their manifestation can be seen in the related AI ethic principles. So if we go back to our history and start teaching students in the same way as they were being taught in ancient time, revitalize the old curricula, it is expected that we will have engineers, applied scientists who will be embedding those set of ethical principles which are common among all the cultures. So we want to design a pluralistic educational AI, which means that we will start with philosophy and ethics, involve local educators, use culturally diverse content, and respect non-Western educational models. And this is how we will make AI truly inclusive. So here is an example that how different subjects can intersect and can be connected and rooted back. So we should strive for this philosophy, which is AI-enabled sustainable symbiotic society. What does it mean? It means if we go back in history, we can see that men were killing men for the sake of land, property, or some other resources. We never cared about animals. We never cared about plants. So nowadays we are talking about human rights. We are talking about individual rights. We have started caring about environment. We are talking about sustainable development goals and sustainability. So similarly, we should be sympathetic towards artificial intelligence and think that they will be quasi-member of society. We will be depending on them and they will be depending on us for an AI-enabled, sustainable, symbiotic society. Thank you very much for your attention.